this is, I feel like I shouldn't look here. I need to look there, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Why?
That's recording too. So like that'll go on YouTube.
Okay.
So like when people are, that'll be great because the people who watch that are the people in your office, and so they'll ask why the heck are you looking down over here? Anyway, this is exciting. Hey Brian, this is exciting. We've been at this for 1 year.
1 year.
I looked at it. I knew it was kind of. We're slightly over. We recorded the first episode. I think it was like March 31st, 2017. But the processing of the internet world, it went up April 10, 2017. 1 year of restoring humans. This is episode 36. Welcome to episode 36. 35 episodes. Granted, we just recorded 2 of them literally right before this, but neither here nor there. That's fairly impressive. I mean, we didn't really set out with any sort of schedule. And,
Nope.
And 35, that is over a every other week average. It's above that average.
That's pretty good.
Right? What is it?
Compared to this, I've been in kind of the natural healthcare world for the past 10 years, and that is 35 more than I've ever done in the first 9 years of that.
That's good stuff. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of, number one, take a minute to celebrate that a little bit, but then also to kind of take it back to the start and just revisit what we're doing, why we're doing it, kind of the roots of all this.
Yeah, a moment of gratitude would be good. Just being thankful to, because not only have we been teaching in other people for the past year, but in order for us to teach well, we have to continue learning. So
Yeah,
I've learned a ton in the past year. I guess just maybe clarified, renewed the previous knowledge that I've had, and I've had fun, a lot of fun doing it. I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed all the questions that people have asked. I've enjoyed all the comments that people have made, and yeah, just hearing how what we've been teaching has really affected people. We got I guess a thank you. Both of us got a thank you from somebody last week or something of just how we've impacted her life and the changes that she's been able to make. Going to her doctor and her doctor being surprised that
Oh yeah.
couldn't believe that she was as healthy as she was.
Yeah.
And she probably should have said, "I can't believe you're as unhealthy as you are." That was a joke. I don't know if the doctor was healthy or not, but
Oh, that's good.
so yeah. So that type of stuff is cool, and just even the amount of people that listen, which has just happened really organically. Like we haven't necessarily tried to promote what we're doing, which
Yeah, our main concern has been making sure we're actually doing something.
right,
People can listen if they want.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny about. I'll call her out because she deserves it, and she was a guest. Lynn had a checkup, and yeah, I kind of already forgot about that, but yeah, she's one to be very proud of that we could play just a small role. But yeah, I think having this, you mentioned it a little bit, but part of the magic for us is just when you're forced to do something, out of habit, it puts you in this place that just makes you be more thoughtful about stuff. And so, yeah, I think a fair amount of things have changed for me over the past year because we're talking about stuff, most of the time, and, granted, my position, I'm listening to you for most of it, but, that's how I learn. That's a huge reason why I wanted to do this. I know that I sit and listen to audio podcasts and learn all kinds of stuff from them. And uh, yeah, it's like I don't even know what that thing is, but it's like because we're having these conversations, it's like, you know, the other 6 days of the week that we're not necessarily doing something like this, my awareness is heightened to a lot of things that I, might compromise if we didn't
Right.
talk about it.
I agree.
Those are good things. Um, so restoring human. What is that and what does it mean? I think it has a decently self-explanatory name to it. Restoring, making something. Well, I guess restoring itself, not only does that mean working towards something good, it means getting back to something that was.
Right.
Right? And then human, what are humans meant to be? So very simple, that's kind of what we set out to do, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, specifically with their health, physical, mental, emotional, all those things. We believe that at one point in human history, things weren't as complicated as they are now as far as how difficult it is to be healthy. So we believe that it's not something necessarily new that you need to do to stay healthy or get healthy, to combat all the difficulty. It's just getting back to things that people used to do. And there's a number of different aspects of lifestyle that we need to do. But like I said, there's nothing new. There's just getting back to the way. I mean, there's definitely some things now that people in the past haven't had to deal with. So I guess in that way it could be new. But the closer we can get back to the way people used to live, the way their lifestyle used to be, the healthier that we are going to become.
Yeah. So if you didn't know, actually, restoring human and just like the whole idea behind this, I don't even know, this brand, I guess is what you would call it. I've been chewing over this for a lot more than just the past year. And the thought originally came from kind of three big things. So I've talked about my story a number of times. Getting into CrossFit, I learned how to move. And so I kind of figured out that the way life kind of functions now, sitting at a desk and being sedentary, is really not, figured out it really wasn't beneficial for my body. But then, like, bigger than that, there's a way that your body's made to just live life, and CrossFit helped express that. It's like the body was originally designed to work in a certain way. I'm really trying to get back to that.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. The second thing was also a part of CrossFit. We're going to talk about this hopefully in the next episode, but CrossFit is not just a workout regimen, not just a movement philosophy. The foundation of CrossFit is nutrition. And there's a way that humans should be eating, maybe not necessarily like this very straight, strict diet. And obviously, food is much different all over the world, but there's some key things that the human body thrives with when it comes to the food that we're eating. And again, I had seen how I've gotten to a place where what was normal for me didn't line up with this, and I kind of had to go back to. So again, is introduced to the paleo diet, and that's all about eating prehistoric. I think we made a joke about how silly that word is. Uh, Paleolithic era, how people might have eaten in that time, and getting back to something that looks more like that. Uh, One, movement, nutrition. Third thing was just like this health stuff, how we deal with um, health, poor health. Uh, yeah, and I feel like that's what we are talking about every week. But yeah, there's all these different things that we've gotten away from something that was probably a more beneficial and just a more vibrant and thriving lifestyle, and experienced life in a way that wasn't that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess how this came together is you already had those ideas running around in your head. You had this experience of, hey, I'm learning. You learned something new, but what you learned wasn't necessarily a new concept. It was a concept that was
Old.
that was old.
As old as time.
Yeah, and then me kind of being in that world for, like I said, the past 10 years, I wanted a way to be able to communicate that to people without understanding the best way to do that, as far as getting on the internet, setting up a podcast, getting on Facebook, all this equipment that we have here. I wouldn't have had any idea how to do any of that.
I see some of it. You can keep talking.
So I said, hey, I want to start a podcast. You were like, hey, I already had this idea. So we made it happen. Why did I want to do that? Because I feel like I've had experiences, I've had education, and I guess I feel like I have a calling to use those two things, my education and my experience, to help other people, specifically with this health thing. And, of course, that can happen with somebody coming into my office, meeting me, somebody coming into a talk that I do and meeting me. But, of course, if I can get it out in the way that we're doing here, more and more people are going to...
Scalable.
Yeah, more and more people are going to be able to learn from my experience and from my education.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just making a bigger impact on the people. And so the other thing, I guess the other half of that is, that's fine. That's my interest. That's my passion. But there's also a huge need for it.
Right.
There's plenty of sick people in our country specifically. There's plenty of people that have gotten away from this lifestyle that we're trying to teach. And then there's plenty of people who want to change that, but they just don't have any idea how to do that.
Yep.
So they don't have the education on that. They don't even have the motivation on that. So those are really the things that we're trying to bring to people, is education and motivation. And just I think we would both agree that we're trying to create a community of people that are really about the same things.
Yeah.
Because that's that's really the motivation, is if you are a part of a group of people that are doing the same thing, that are working together, that are keeping each other accountable, that are, interested in the same stuff, then that's when people are really going to be successful. So,
yeah. I think so. Similarly, where I got to thinking about like this brand of advocacy or whatever you want to call this thing, I felt that tension of like, I see people hurting from all these different things, and I feel like my experience has kind of shown me how to kind of deal with some of those things and experience something different, experience something that's much more vibrant and thriving, and when it comes to just life. But I still don't, like, personally on the internet, like, I know the internet's a great tool for sharing stuff, but personally, like, I just don't feel right in myself, like, saying, hey, you should be doing this and all that. So I went and got a doctor on my team. But yeah, like, I really like the dynamic that we have. Like you have authority with people, but like I also kind of am liking the fact that I don't necessarily have authority, but can like be more of an example of like you don't have to have a PhD or what is your degree called?
DC.
A DC. To be able to make simple change that can have very profound impact on your life. Simple changes in lifestyle that, yeah, have profound impact.
Right. Yeah, and I would say, I mean, we're a year into this, but I guess my interest or my passion of wanting to do it a year ago, I would say it's even more so now. I got into some health coaching within the past year, so I'm really diving into people's that are really sick and need my help. And just very recently, just my office, we did a promotional thing, and we've had some newer people coming into the office, and that's just a reminder of unfortunately how many issues people have, and just the craziness of stuff that they have to go through to try to figure out what's wrong with them. And when I hear it, I'm just like, oh, that's simple. This is what you're doing. So just avoid this, or just start doing this, or just start doing these couple things. And they've paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to try to figure out what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
And all they needed to do was just, address this simple thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's emotional suffering, it's physical suffering, it's financial suffering, which then can turn into relational suffering, social suffering. It's again, all back to impact. We don't want to see that suffering happening. So, I mean, this could be something that seems simple. A couple guys want to get on the internet and talk about health, but there's a purpose behind it.
Yeah, it's way bigger than way bigger than filling your office with patients. Way bigger than living as long as we possibly can. We believe that like humans are meant to flourish and enjoy all that life has to offer. I know like our audience is fairly diverse, but we are both Christians, and that very much influences the origin of a lot of these thoughts and just desiring to work towards that flourishing and to see people restored, revived, all these different buzzwords.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece of it. We believe that to get further off into there, we believe the beginning of time, people were created in a beautiful, wonderful state, and basically right after that, and ever since then, we have been introduced to suffering and pain and everything that has caused all of the baggage that we deal with now. And whatever we can do to work back to that original human is what we want to be doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Last week, Justin's a pastor of our church. He also does CrossFit. He's how I got into CrossFit. Is he not necessarily how you got into CrossFit, but
indirectly.
He's a big part of that as well. He's talking last week. Just this really got my gears going, and why I really made a point to be in here this week. Just about like, what's the quote that he used? Just talking about examining your life and how an unexamined life is it's like so not worth living. If you're not looking at what you're doing, if you're just walking through your days and the only way that you're getting through them is by not thinking about what you're doing,
Yeah.
it's sad. And so to think about like the things that I'm doing, things that we're doing here, trying to do something that's bigger than just a cog in the wheel. Helping people, experience flourishing life. Yeah.
Yep. That's what we want. That's why we're doing it. That's why we're going to continue doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure.
And hope we've both got huge ambitions for stuff. So I feel like this year we've kind of been, for the most part, getting our feet wet with figuring out how to do some of this stuff, and there's a lot more where this is coming from.
Yeah, so we did 35 episodes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is our goal for this year?
I don't know. I would say just keep doing the podcast. Here's a goal. I want to interview more people.
Yeah.
I want to get more other people on here. We can sit and talk about whatever, whenever we want. Maybe we would eventually run out of things to talk about, but I think the more we can talk to other people, not only are we pulling in other people's experiences, not just two people's experience, you kind of tap into, we've kind of built a little bit of an audience and people who choose to listen to us, but talk to somebody else, they have other people that they might be already influencing who, hey, we can also bring some of the message that we have, to some other people, and the more kind of connections you can draw there, I think, yeah, that's a goal. That's a goal I have for this year.
Yeah, I agree. I would say another goal is to somehow be more interactive with our listeners. Is providing them what they're actually wanting. Where we kind of spent this year saying, hey, here's kind of a bunch of different topics when it comes to health. So we're gonna, I guess, give you all of that. But now, what do you really want to hear about?
Yeah, we should. Here, we'll put it on the books right now. Soon, within the next 30 days, here's the other thing. We often are just like flying by the seat of our pants, and we're just like, hey, I'm about to leave my house. I'll pick you up. Let's do this. Be a little more scheduled, and we'll schedule within the next 30 days. We'll schedule a little Q&A thing. Hype it up a little bit. Make sure it's at a more normal time where people aren't sitting behind their desks. Maybe one evening, and do a little Q&A sesh and take some questions. Probably somewhat pretty general. Maybe we'll have a topic. We'll figure it out. Mark my word. Within the next 30 days, we're gonna do that.
Cool. And this, I mean, it could be anything. It could be as simple as how do I lose weight. It could be, we just did a whole thing on gut, but how do I, if I have IBS, what do I do? We had a specific request about birth control.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get
that. We'll be doing something on. Maybe not specifically birth control, but we'll kind of handle hormones and things that can alter hormones. Vaccines.
So there's plenty.
Anything.
There's plenty of other topical stuff that we, haven't even touched on yet, and we'll definitely keep doing that stuff. But feel a little no, I don't feel bad about wearing this sweatshirt. Say I feel a little bad about wearing a. How do I straighten there? What's the angle there? A beer shirt. But it's like that's part of our vision of human life. Like we don't think that we have to be these just staunch, rigid, stiff, alcohol's from the devil, like all this stuff. We actually believe the opposite of that.
Yeah.
And like we can enjoy things that may not necessarily be uh, the most beneficial thing for your physical body, but we have the freedom to enjoy these good things that people have created, in the however many thousands of years it took to. I don't know how long it took to make beer. Probably not that long. But
Yeah, there's more to life than just physical health.
yeah, and that we can enjoy things like that.
Yep.
Yeah, but anyway, if you're ever in Cedar Falls, Waterloo, we might have some listeners from there. Gosh, this mirror image thing is throwing me off. Single Speed Brewery. My brother manages this place.
Nice.
Good stuff. Cool. Anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Sweet. What time did you say? 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's right. So another thing we're going to hit on, I'll tease it a little bit. Something I've been really just jazzed on lately is CrossFit proper. Has been essentially has doubled down on their mission of being a health company, not just a fitness company. And basically, they are kind of setting their foot down and saying CrossFit is the cure for type 2 diabetes. And that's a bold freaking statement. So, I want to talk about that at length. So, we will.
Cool.
And whatever you guys want to talk about, just let us know. So, be looking forward to some of that stuff.
All right.
Okay. Peace out, folks. If you're watching later, we'll check the comments. There's only a couple people on here live, but we'll check in on those comments and leave us words, questions, smart remarks, whatever. Later.